Hello, friends. I hope you all are doing well. So, welcome to APTI Plus current affairs session, and myself will discuss topic of environment. As I have been discussing various issues of environment, so we are also going to cover certain topics of environment which is making headlines. So let us go into one very important environmental concern, that is invasive alien species, IAS. UPSC has asked once a question, a direct question, that was with respect to Prosopis juliflora. Prosopis juliflora. Now, Prosopis juliflora is an invasive plant species which has created a big problem not all over the country, but also in the state of Tamil Nadu. In Tamil Nadu, it has been given the name in local language as Simai Karuvelam. Now, this particular plant grows very, very fast, and it has already spread throughout the state of Tamil Nadu. Now, this plant has water impact in terms of water. It absorbs water, plus it has certain type of chemicals which affect animals which graze on these plants and causing problem to agriculture. So, the matter went to the Madras High Court, where the court has asked the Tamil Nadu government to weed out or eliminate this menace in the state. So this is one example which I am bringing here, and where UPSC prelims exam question has been asked. But if you go through the current affairs newspaper and continuous articles, there have been invasive species like African giant snail. Now this African giant snail as a pest affect crops. Maharashtra, Goa, they have suffered because of this African giant snail. Another news which has made there, that is a snowflake coral. There's one type of coral which has been in the news. Although you know coral reefs are already threatened because of global warming, climate change, but there is a one variety of coral called snowflake coral, which is spread in the marine environment and is an invasive coral species. So that was in the news. So we come across different types of mammals, reptiles, birds, plants, which have now become invasive. And it is a big problem and challenge, not all over the world, but even the country also there. So let us understand here, what is this invasive alien species and what are their traits. So when we say invasive alien species, these are those which are exotic. These are exotic species. So it can be any kind of living organism. Basically, a natural organism can also become invasive in long term. So they're exotic species and they're non-native. They're outside the habitat, right? But it may come to the habitat by self-migration, or it can be introduced by humans into agriculture, into horticulture, into aquaculture, into silviculture, and then it is spread in that particular habitat. And from that habitat, it goes to other habitats. So they're non-native and they cause threat. They pose threats to native species. So native biodiversity, the plants, animals, and all the native species, this kind of invasive species can be a potential competitor. Sometimes they can introduce some kind of insect and pest which can damage the crops and cause problem to animals. This type of species are able to adapt fast to the environment, use resources better, and multiply very fast. Again, they can cause severe problem to local native species. So what is the second thing here? They have got fast dispersal, migration. They can migrate very fast. Migration and breeding rate. They multiply very, very fast. and they occupy the entire habitat as a dominant species. So that is again another feature of exotic species. Another thing is that they have a adaptation. They have adaptation to various environmental conditions. So they're tough species. They are able to survive into different type of conditions of environment and can live off with different type of food and food types there. So different environmental conditions and survive on different food resources, different foods. That's what their ability to further invade to other habitats become more probable. So they are, in terms of big potential what they have, they can again invade other areas. Many times such species are introduced by humans into agriculture or aquaculture or horticulture for some commercial value. But then again, we realize over a period of time that such kind of species are now causing problem to agriculture, horticulture, aquaculture. So if you look at the kind of control measures and all, so generally they affect entire ecosystem and disrupt and they disrupt the ecological balance of the food web wherever they are introduced or wherever they have migrated and come to that habitat. There they have this kind of a problem there. Now I'll given you some kind of few examples, but let us go into a few more examples of such kind of invasive species there, right? So let us now go into recent times examples. So if we take about plant species, so I mentioned about Juliflora, Prosopis, one of the plant which always come in the news, and now recently it has come in the news with respect to Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand, even the hilly areas, they have spread, that is Lantana camara, right? Even Parthenium, then Micania micrantha, all these are botanical name, right? Then you know water weed, aquatic weed, you are aware of the name, water hyacinth. It is spread in the entire water body and affect the aquatic ecosystem. All these are examples of water or land-based plants, right? Now another, I can give example. If you take bird varieties, there are many type of birds which are critically endangered, vulnerable. Their numbers are declining. But there are certain type of birds which have become invasive. I'll give you a few examples. One example is house pigeon. You know that pigeon, once you start feeding pigeon, slowly you'll find big number of pigeons will be there in your home. Another thing, what comes here, myna. You know the common myna, which damage the crop. They eat the insect and the part of it. You will find again the invasive in nature. Now I'll come to the, if you look at a part of kind of a reptile. Recently, it is big news about one very important python, Burmese python in Florida of the USA. The Florida government introduced this python from Myanmar to control small kind of animals. Now, over the year 10, 20 years, this python has become invasive. Now, recently it made headline because we have a tribe in India called Irula tribe, which know how to catch snake, right? And two best Irula men, right, Gopal and Masi, they have been taken to Florida in the US and they're helping to catch Burmese python to control their numbers. Both these gentlemen have been awarded with Padma Shri, which is a civilian award given by the government of India for their work in controlling this invasive species in the USA, right? So that is one thing. Then, as I mentioned, that it could be other kind of thing here like house gecko. You have seen this gecko. Now about the fish variety, tilapia. Then you know African catfish, mangur. Now this is affecting the native type of stock of fish like rohu, katla, because of the African catfish. So again, there's a where the list goes on. India has got long list of such invasive species there, right? Now comes the question how to control such species there. What should be the control mechanism? So if we take about control mechanism of invasive species, so we can, from means point of view, we can think of the following control mechanism. One is that mapping, migration path of invasive alien species, IAS. Invasive alien species, the migration path. Then again, study of traits of invasive alien species. How the trait, what type of traits they have got, their biological features, so that we are able to bring about some control mechanism from preventing the spread of such kind of species. Then quarantine measure, right? Quarantine measures to prevent spread of such invasive alien species. Government can work out with the help of NGOs and scientific organization what mechanism should be done to quarantine them so that they're not able to spread from one particular area to other areas. So there again, scientifically we can carry out there. Then again, in terms of use of chemical, either pesticides if they are pest, or let's say weedicides if they are plants, or herbicides if they are again the plants and all, those kind of measures to eliminate, or other kind of measures to eliminate invasive alien species so that they are not able to multiply. Now worldwide, if you look at United Nations under Convention on Biodiversity has already proposed to the governments to take strict kind of provisions and the actions to stop the spread of invasive alien species. At the national level, Government of India, that is the Central Ministry of Environment, Forest, Climate Change, has already brought control, legal control, or with the help of government rules and guidelines to control this invasive alien species in the Wildlife Protection Act by amendment. You all know that Government of India has recently amended Wildlife Protection Act and introduced a bill in 2021. It has now the provisions with respect to legal aspect to control invasive alien species in India. I hope whatever I have explained about invasive alien species and the part of it, you are able to understand. And for more details, you can follow APTI Plus website. I will be soon coming with new topic. Thank you. Take care.